In 1893, a wealthy heir lost his life in a hunting accident, or so his mentor claimed. But when the real-life inspiration for Sherlock Holmes stepped in, the story shattered. Was it a tragic mishap or the ultimate Victorian setup? Hit like, subscribe for more cold cases, and comment your theory below. Let's uncover the truth. In the late summer of 1893, the remote and picturesque estate of Ardlamont, perched along the rugged coast of western Scotland, seemed like the ideal playground for a wealthy young aristocrat. Cecil Hambrough, just 20 years old, was the heir to a massive family fortune, though he was still a few years away from legally inheriting it. To manage his affairs and guide his education, his family had hired a charming, well-spoken gentleman named Alfred Monson. On the surface, Monson appeared to be a devoted mentor, but behind his suave exterior lay a trail of failed business ventures, mounting debts, and a desperate need for quick cash. In the weeks leading up to August 1893, financial tension behind the scenes at Ardlamont reached a boiling point. Monson had managed to persuade young Cecil to sign over several financial agreements, culminating in 2 massive life insurance policies totaling £20,000, an astronomical sum at the time. Oddly, because Cecil was still a minor, these policies technically should not have been valid, yet Monson insisted on securing them. Adding to the increasingly strange atmosphere on the estate, a mysterious third man arrived at Ardlamont just days later. Introduced as Edward Scott, a supposed gentleman of leisure, he was actually an associate with a questionable past, using a false name. On the morning of August 10, 1893, the 3 men set out into the dense woods of the estate for an early morning hunting trip. The sky was overcast, and a light mist hung over the trees as Cecil, armed with a shotgun, walked ahead with Monson and Scott trailing nearby. Moments later, a single gunshot echoed through the quiet forest. When estate workers rushed toward the sound, they found Cecil Hambrough lying lifeless near a sunken ditch. Alfred Monson was standing over him, visibly shaken, while Scott stood a short distance away. When local authorities arrived to investigate, Monson gave a smooth, confident explanation of what had occurred. He claimed that Cecil had been carrying his shotgun improperly while attempting to cross a tricky embankment. According to Monson, the weapon had caught on a stray branch, causing it to discharge accidentally and strike the young man. Given the popularity of hunting in the Victorian era and the frequent accidents associated with firearms of the time, the local constable initially saw no reason to doubt the story. The death was officially logged as a tragic hunting accident, and plans were made for a quick burial. However, the story began to unravel almost immediately when Monson attempted to collect on the £20,000 life insurance policies just 2 days after the death. Shocked by the rapid payout claim and suspicious of the circumstances, the insurance company alerted the Scottish authorities, urging them to freeze the funds and reopen the case. When police returned to the Ardlamont estate to re-examine the crime scene, they discovered another alarming development. Edward Scott had abruptly packed his bags in the middle of the night and vanished without a trace. Recognizing that they needed world-class expertise to make sense of the physical evidence, the prosecution called upon Dr. Joseph Bell, a brilliant surgeon and professor at the University of Edinburgh. Dr. Bell was famous throughout Scotland for his extraordinary observational skills, capable of determining a person's occupation, habits, and history just by glancing at them. In fact, his unique analytical methods had recently served as the real-life inspiration for his former student, Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, when creating the legendary fictional detective Sherlock Holmes. Dr. Bell and his forensic team traveled to Ardlamont to conduct a meticulous reconstruction of the incident. He carefully examined the shot patterns on the surrounding tree branches, calculated the trajectory of the pellets, and studied the position of the body relative to the ditch. His findings directly contradicted Monson's account. Dr. Bell demonstrated that for the fatal shot to have come from Cecil's own weapon during a fall, the gun would have had to fire from an impossible angle. Furthermore, the lack of gunpowder residue on the victim's clothing proved the weapon was discharged from a distance of several feet, meaning another person had pulled the trigger.
With forensic science pointing squarely toward foul play, Alfred Monson was arrested and charged with murder, while a nationwide manhunt was launched for the missing Edward Scott. Investigators eventually identified Scott as Edward Sweeney, a known bookmaker and fraudster from London who had been hiding out under an alias. Despite extensive police searches across the country, Sweeney managed to evade capture, leaving Monson to stand trial alone at the High Court of Justiciary in Edinburgh in December 1893. The trial became a national sensation, drawing huge crowds and extensive newspaper coverage. The prosecution presented a compelling narrative. Monson, drowning in debt, had systematically manipulated a naive young heir, insured his life for a fortune, brought in a conspirator, and orchestrated a fake hunting accident to collect the money. Dr. Joseph Bell took the witness stand, mesmerizing the courtroom as he laid out his scientific deductions step by step, explaining how the physical evidence rendered the accident theory physically impossible. However, Monson's defense team proved remarkably formidable. They mounted a defense focused on creating reasonable doubt, aggressively questioning the reliability of the early forensic techniques used by Dr. Bell. They argued that ballistics was an inexact science and suggested that minor variations in wind, movement, or firearm construction could account for the unusual shot trajectory. Furthermore, because the second suspect was missing, the defense argued that it was impossible to conclusively prove who held the weapon at the exact moment the shot was fired. After 10 days of intense legal arguments, the jury retired to deliberate. Under Scottish law, juries have 3 potential verdicts available to them: guilty, not guilty, or a unique third option known as not proven. The not proven verdict serves as an acquittal, used when a jury strongly suspects the accused is guilty but feels the prosecution has fell just short of proving it beyond a reasonable doubt. On December 22, 1893, the jury returned to a packed courtroom and delivered their verdict: not proven. Alfred Monson walked out of the courtroom a free man, though his reputation was permanently tarnished, and he was never able to collect a single penny of the insurance money. Edward Sweeney was never apprehended or questioned by police. The mystery of what truly transpired in the quiet Scottish woods on that foggy August morning, and whether the ultimate Victorian crime was solved by the real Sherlock Holmes, remains officially unanswered to this day.